Kinganda is a channel about bringing the diaspora and the continent together. Unfortunately, there are issues on the continent of Africa that I gotta be really upfront and vocal with. And that is countries that you should and should not move to. Now, for me, I've never been to the Gambia, but I can tell you, I don't hear anything like this in any other African country regarding those from the Black diaspora. Now, as you know, in the past year and a half, there have been many ladies and gentlemen from either the States or in Gambia who have lost their lives. Some have been killed and some under suspicious circumstances. But I will talk about two from Britain. One was a lady by the name of Shakina Chenedu. Okay, now she was a sister that had a business and moved to the Gambia, and then she got killed when her employee hit her on the head with a hammer.
That the suspect is a man between the ages of 20 and 30, that the suspect is cooperating in the police's ongoing investigation. And a significant thing about this article is that the reporter admits that this sister's death has come at a time, which is now currently, when the country of Gambia is grappling with an increase in serious crimes, including killings and robberies.
Then there's this story about a brother by the name of Leonard Dominique, also a Black British national that went to the Gambia. Unfortunately, this happened.
But now we have another murder of a Black from the diaspora in the Gambia. This gentleman's name was Leonard Dominique, and apparently he had gone over to the Gambia and was engaged in business and got killed by his own driver. And he was speaking to his daughter on the phone at the time the murder happened. And apparently, or let's say allegedly, he was stabbed, his body was dumped, and then the murderer took his truck with the intention, with some cohorts, some accomplices too, to be specific, with the intention of selling the truck or selling the parts from the truck, and then illegally making his way over to Europe to be an illegal immigrant over in the UK. And I'm just astonished and I'm appalled. And I question whether or not we Blacks from the diaspora at this particular point in time should actually be talking about relocating to the Gambia.
He was killed by this guy, a brother by the name of Ibra Foley. Now, he's half Ghanaian, half Gambian, but he lives in Gambia. And this was Mr. Dominique's worker, and he basically pulled over to the side of the road saying, yo, we got engine trouble. The guy's on the phone with his daughter, as you heard, and he stabs the man. The brother's trying to get away from him, but he continues to pursue him. And his whole goal is to sell all of his things so that he can go to Europe and finance his way out of the country. So let me talk about this because I see this happening a lot. This is the second time that this has happened from someone's worker. So if you're coming to the Gambia doing like projects that require building and things like that, you should be very careful. Now, I'm not saying this will always happen, but you should be very careful, okay? The Gambia is, in my honest opinion, from what I know about it, a place I don't think that is very good for a country for you to move to and invest in. I would say that it's probably very small. Nothing wrong with being too small, but I just don't think the Gambia has a whole lot of opportunity. I believe that a person needs to be a very skilled entrepreneur and need to have a lot of investment into a business or into an industry, and you have a lot of infrastructure and you're able to, you know, like I said, teach the business very, very well. And if you can do that, you're probably not going to pick the Gambia anyway. A lot of people are picking the Gambia because of how cheap it is. I think people need to stop doing that. I think you need to pick an African country based on the value that the country has and the growth that it has. For an example, if you want to talk about a smaller country, there is Rwanda, okay? Now, Rwanda, you know, may not have all of the opportunities right now, but at least it's safe. Okay, Rwanda is safe. I've been to Rwanda one time. You can literally walk outside of your house at 4 or 5 in the morning and nobody's gonna touch you. It's just as safe as Poland or any country in the West. You know, I was there, I was living in Nyatarama, right? Where I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. And we were going by the golf course. And the guy was like, I was like, oh man, this is beautiful, to my driver. He's like, yeah, it's nice. He was like, the security guards and the police over there. I said, what? There's nobody out there. He said, no, just because you can't see them don't mean that they're not there. Somebody is there. So always look at your safety of you and your family. If you don't have enough money to be in a very safe environment, don't move here. Don't move to the country of Africa. Stay where you're at, all right? Move to a country in a neighborhood or places where you feel like you will be safe, okay? Now, hiring workers, hiring people. This is something else that, you know, like I said, it's something that you gotta understand. Paying the market rate of what somebody gets paid per day is something that you gotta look at. You're a foreigner, people gonna automatically believe because you have money, you should pay them more. Now, the going rate is the going rate, right? But if it's the going rate, people are gonna look for reasons to try to overcome that amount, because a lot of the going rates that go on for work in Africa don't even pay for somebody's food and transport in a month. So I'll just talk about it here in Uganda. You know, you can have people working 6 and 7 days a week and the salary is like $125 a month, but their rent and transport is like $200 a month. So basically they're working to be in a deficit, but they don't want to just stay home and not do anything. They want to go out and work just so that they can say they have a job, all right? Now, when you hire somebody at that local rate, and I'm not trying to say if you pay more, something bad won't happen to you, but if you pay at that local rate, you're risking like, okay, somebody's gonna steal from me, this might happen, and you know, all those other things, and then you're mad when it happens because that person can't really feed themselves. I'm not saying that this happened with him, I don't know. He could have been paying the guy a lot. And you can find somebody that's crazy, you're still being good to them, and they'll still steal, right? We get it. But a lot of this stuff is like desperation and people want money and, you know, and trying to bridge the gap between you having a relationship with employees and then having somebody that basically is a, you know, a buffer between you and employees. And I would say if I'm dealing with something on a project or building something like that, you do want to definitely be there dealing with the person. But at the same time, if that person is in poverty and it's extreme poverty, that person is in a lot of trouble. And just because they agree to work with you for that rate, that also could mean that you're probably in trouble. So you have to watch that. And that's something that I've noticed here. You know, you don't really know what people are trying to do. You don't really know what they're trying to achieve in life. And if they don't have the money to do it and you hire them, well, guess who is going to have to somehow get that money up? They're not going to stay there and be poor if they don't have to. People will steal, man, if they have to. This is not all Africans, but you know, people have to survive. So if a person is looking to break their cycle of poverty, it's a lot of pressure on Africans. You know what I mean? A lot of the men, you know, they're looked at to provide for their kids, their little brothers, and things like that. And at the same time, you're working with a person and, you know, they don't have very many opportunities, they see it, or that person's just evil like this dude, they're gonna get you. You know, they're gonna get you. And so I would say that the Gambia, since I keep seeing this same issue happening so much, I would really refrain from brothers and sisters moving there. Look at some of the countries that have a little bit more infrastructure when it comes to the police, when it comes to, you know, your quality of life. Right now, one of the countries that I'm recommending heavily is Kenya. Okay, Uganda is great too. Don't get me wrong, and I live in Uganda. But Kenya gives you a lot of opportunities right now that a lot of other African countries just can't give you. I've never been to Ghana before. I've been to Nigeria once. But I would say the ones that I've seen that I see a lot of African Americans thriving and having more access to opportunities is Kenya. You have to live in an African country that gives you quite a bit of opportunities. And people who feel like it's enough opportunity for them that they don't gotta steal and take your life. And I've worked with people in Kenya a lot. I mean, I've built this business with a lead editor from Kenya, and I've had nothing but positive experiences for the most part. Of course, you're going to have problems here and there, but you need to work in a more progressive environment, I would have to say. And the Gambia just, in my opinion, hasn't done that. So now you're going there and you're figuring like you got to struggle in that environment to help the country come up when the country is not concerned about the country coming up. And, you know, when you're going back to Africa, you should get something out of it too. You know what I mean? Like, it's too many stories of break-ins, and it's too many stories of been hearing for the last 4 to 5 years about the Gambia to where I'm telling people, yo, man, just don't go. Just don't go. Not saying it's a bad place. Just don't go. Don't waste your time. Find someplace else that you have never heard of people getting killed or dying mysteriously, because you don't want to roll the dice and that be you. You could even come to Uganda. Right? I'm happy with Uganda. You know, I would say Kenya is still better. It's the truth. You know, Rwanda is good. Doesn't have as many opportunities as Uganda and Kenya, but it's still good. Tanzania, I don't know very much about that, but it's definitely on its way up. I don't know how doing business there, but I can tell you Uganda and Kenya, it's a little bit lucrative. Then you have Ghana. I'm not sure about that, but Ghana, I see brothers and sisters doing good in Ghana. I see some brothers happy in South Africa. So, you know, we keep hearing about the Gambia, and we need to take that for what it is. And I'm not saying that all Gambians are doing this or whatever is happening, but Gambia is too small, I think. The competition for money is too great. And, you know, you need to be a more lucrative environment so your kids can enjoy their time, you can enjoy their time, and you're not really watching over your back all day. So, guys, what do you think? It's your boy, L. Jackson, back at it again with another episode of Fair Use. I appreciate you for all you do. Curve the bell. We're out.